May I now request Lord Bhikhubhai, our Honorable Chief Guest, to address the gathering. Sir, I am sure your experience and research in the field of politics, identity of politics, multiculturalism, role of Gujarati diaspora will enlighten our audience. We really look forward to your address.
Bhikhubhai and my fellow panelists, I must begin with 3 apologies. First of all, I would have liked to speak in Gujarati. I think it's very strange that we should be here, right in the heart of Gujarat, and conduct important proceedings about the politics of India in a language which is not spoken by more than about 10% of the Gujarati population. And I think more than any other state, Gujarat has suffered the most from a wrong educational policy. So that very few people speak Gujarati. I discovered this more and more. I discovered it even when I was the Vice Chancellor, that half my professors didn't quite understand what I was saying. So, my apologies, but because I have got about 8 to 10 minutes, 4 times more than my two predecessors, I don't want to waste them trying to retranslate my thoughts into Gujarati, so I'll immediately switch into English. The second apology is to be starting slightly late. My fault. I arrived here well in time, but we had some difficulty in negotiating our way to this place. And although the prayer said, Mukam Karo Vachalam, I kept saying, look, please, Almighty, if you exist. And if you do have a place in Narendra Modi's Ahmedabad, please allow me to move fast, but the traffic lights didn't move. So we got a bit late. And the third apology is, I would have loved to hear more from Amit and Dr. Sharma. Not just pleasantries, but setting out the position. You have a second coming of it, but to tantalize us, I would have liked to know what the second coming was going to be like by hearing more about the first. Anyway, I'm not going to engage in pleasantries. It's a waste of time. I want to get down straight away to what I want to say. Our subject is issues of governance and the changing face of Indian politics. And I must say that India worries me greatly. India worries me greatly. I remember being in Delhi about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and a friend of mine turned to me and said, it worries me, but why greatly? And he said, but look, there is no danger of the country breaking up. And I said, why not? Great Britain, which has been in existence for 300 years, is breaking up in a few months' time. What is so special about India? And our Northeast has never been integrated, the Seven Sisters has never been a part of the mainstream. There is no reason why, under compulsions, bad economic planning, or foreign interference, the country may not begin to fall apart. Or it might lumber on, but in such a way that it's a loose, weak polity without any sense of vibrancy. That is my fear. I hope the fear doesn't come true, but the only way that it doesn't come true is to guard against it by taking appropriate steps. And what I want to do is to tell you why I have this fear and what steps we need to be taking. Now, we as a country have hitched our wagon on the low star of democracy. So you can't discuss governance without discussing democracy. What kind of democracy do we have in India? We take great pride in the largest democracy. Largest simply means we produce more people than anybody else. That's not a matter of pride. And it's not something that the government does. The people keep multiplying and you become the largest democracy. It's not something to be proud of, it's simply an act of nature. We take pride in democracy because we think that it is something very special. It realizes important values and it allows us to achieve important objectives. That's why democracy is valuable. Does our democracy realize those values? And does it help? Is it a good instrument in achieving those objectives? These are the two questions that I was discussing. Let me begin at the beginning. In 1947 and then in 1950, when we embarked upon democracy, we had to decide what kind of democracy do we want. Since I don't have the time, we had four options. We went for one, parliamentary democracy of the British kind. We needn't have gone that way. We would have gone to the Gandhian idea of democracy, or the one advocated by M. Roy and J.P. and a lot of other people. Instead, we went for parliamentary democracy, with all the problems it creates and the advantages. We also did one thing else. Because of the peaceful transfer of power, we simply continued with the colonial state. We didn't redesign, restructure the colonial state. And within that colonial state, we tried to insert democracy. So right from the beginning, our democracy has remained trapped within, emasculated by the colonial authoritarian structure of Sarkar Madhav. It's only, and I don't have the time again, but it's only in the early 1950s that Pandit Nehru in a very remarkable statement says, we have made a mistake. Rather than democratizing the colonial state, we should try to create a state of our own which fits in with our idea of democracy. But then by that time lots of things had begun to happen and that project was never completed. So the first thing I want us to realize is that we have allowed democracy within the framework of the colonial state. Anyway, there is another point worth bearing in mind, and that is that we drew an important distinction between democracy and republic. And I don't think many people in India even understand what the word republic is doing there. It wasn't there in the first draft of the Constitution. Then it was brought in, but the word democracy was dropped, and then the two were combined in the preamble. And it's very striking that we are the only country which celebrates 2 days. And these 2 days have very different logics. Independence Day belongs to the government of India. We saw it yesterday, the Prime Minister from Lal Killa talking to a passive audience. Republic Day belongs to the President of India. When the President receives the honors, where there are floats of different states, now why these two different ways of recognizing our existence? Independence and Republic. All honors are announced on the Republic Day, not on the Independence Day. Why? Again, it points to something interesting, which I don't have the time to explore in 8 to 10 minutes that I have. What I want to do is to look at democracy as it has come to us. And democracy basically means 4 things. A, you elect your rulers. B, you discuss and debate public affairs. C, you use the power to achieve certain worthwhile objectives. And 4, democracy is not just a technology, a set of institutions, it's a culture, it's an ethic. Democracy can't exist simply because we have imported the British House of Commons. In Britain, the House of Commons is a product of a particular culture, a particular set of ethics. And the question to ask is, has democracy in India gone beyond the import of technology, institutional technology? Have we imbibed an appropriate culture that goes with it? And I want to say something very quickly, 1 minute, on these 4 points. How have we done by these 4 criteria? Elections, public deliberation, or rational discussion, or what Amartya Sen calls public reason, well-being, national interest, common good of our people, and fourthly, internalizing democracy, so that it is not just a question of casting a vote, I relate to you or I relate to Bhikhubhai or Amit in a democratic way, not in the authoritarian way. You conduct the meeting in a democratic way. The democracy becomes a culture, a way of life, a way of relating to the other. By these four criteria, how have we done? And if we haven't done too well, there is a crisis. And I want to argue that we haven't done as well as we could and should have. Take the first one. Elections, of course, we have fair elections, free elections, occasional violence, but that's better than a lot of violence that used to take place. But our elections don't offer choices, because elections require political parties. And we don't have political parties. We have groups of people clustered together around this journey or that journey. Isne party banai, usne party banai. A party, and I belong to a country for the last 50 years where there are political parties. Parties stand for something. There are choices of programs, choices of ideology. Our political parties are not like that. I remember half a dozen party leaders telling me, "Arey Professor Sahab, your manifesto kya cheez hai?" We produce it because newspaper wale mangte hain, newspaper wale mangte. We don't even know what's in our manifesto. So the question is, when you come to power, what do I expect of you? Don't expect anything. I want to look after myself. So elections become a joke if there are no proper choices between programs. The other thing that happens, that increasingly our political spectrum, choices between various ideologies, has become very narrow. There is no social democratic party. There is no conservative party in the proper sense of the term. There is not even a Hindu party in the sense of Christian democratic party in the Netherlands or Germany. That in those European countries there is a civilization, there is a religion, and within that religion they try to understand democracy in a certain way. So you have a Christian democratic in power in Germany, or Christian democratic party. We ended up creating the BJP, which I would have thought might have gone the way towards Hindu, but that's what it was about, Indic democratic party, with a new vision, a new attempt to understand our past and draw on it. Nothing like that happened. So my first point therefore is, in terms of elections, choices are very limited. Our political language has shrunk. And it has become a form of abuse now, because the only choice is, are you secular or you are not secular? If you are secular, you are pakka, you are okay. All your sins are forgiven. You are not secular, all your virtues are forgotten. What is it that all the other issues get ignored and we get hooked on just one? With all the difficulty that this creates. Take the second issue, public deliberation. We have a robust press, although I find that increasingly our newspapers are shrinking in quality and in the level of analysis. Our journals are much better. Our weeklies and fortnightlies do a wonderful job, although not as well as they should. A fine job. Our daily press, very disappointing. In terms of parliament, then you would expect deliberation, discussion to take place, hangama. It meets so little. Parliament in Pandit Nehru's time used to meet for about 115 days. Now it's about 52. And even those 52 not complete. But 52 at the national level. Look at the state level. Last year, Gujarat 31 days. Haryana 24 days. In 24 days you dispose of large amounts of legislation. And then what happens in these 24 days? I am told, and I hope I am wrong, but it is true, that in Haryana and Puducherry, a bill is introduced in the morning and it passes in the afternoon. How are you going to debate important issues? There are no standing committees whose job it is to discuss these things in great length. Parliament is different. At the state level, there is very little deliberation going on. Third, when we talk about public interest, I don't want to get into this Bhagavati Sen debate, because I think that debate is misconceived, and I'll say something about it tomorrow when I speak on this elsewhere. But what's happening here is, if you look at the largest amount of malnutrition, infant mortality, even poorer than Bangladesh, And when you have got 71, when the Prime Minister said that 71 crores of people will get food security, you don't know whether to laugh or cry. 71 crore people in India at the age of 65 years of independence require food security. How have we got to this situation? But again, time is limited, I should go on. And finally, about democracy becoming a part of our culture. To some extent it has. In other ways it hasn't. And what we have is to allow the caste hierarchy to distort our democracy. Do forgive me, Bhikhubhai, but even a meeting such as this, I think, is a microcosm. It is not enough to say that somebody is a guest, he has to be a chief guest, a guest of eminence, a guest of honor, and there is a hierarchy. Which is fine, necessary, but it tells us something. Or there I can think of countless other occasions where you have this hierarchy and people are extremely sensitive to where they are placed within that hierarchy. So, what follows from this very quick fourfold analysis? What follows, I think, is this. The state is increasingly losing its legitimacy. If tomorrow there were a crisis, a war, and the Prime Minister of India or the President were to tell people, saying, my countrymen, I need your blood, sweat and tears, as Churchill did, how many would give their blood? How many would sweat? And how many would shed tears? I wonder. They might, given by nationalistic impulse. But deep within, if you ask for them for deep sacrifices, how much sacrifice would we expect? Most of our institutions are not trusted by the people, except the Supreme Court, where you would expect some kind of justice. Although there too, there is a dark cloud. There is an enormous amount of alienation and anger. And in that kind of situation, I don't think democracy can flourish as well as it should. Now, while this is going on, there are signs of hope. And I see four. And I'm hoping that one day we might be able to mobilize these four signs of hope to regenerate this country and pull it back from the precipice toward which it might be heading. First, I think Supreme Court has so far saved Parliament. We are no longer a parliamentary democracy, which is how we began our historical journey. We have now become a judicial democracy, because our democratic institutions are maintained by the Supreme Court, not by Parliament, where they are flouted. Is this the right way for democracy to go? To depend entirely on the goodwill of the judgment of the Supreme Court? We might end up going the American way, where every judge on the Supreme Court becomes so important that there are constant debates. Iska politics kya hai? Can we trust this judge? So the judges become contentious. I don't think we should go that way, but if we are not careful, we will. Second hope that we have, thanks to the Mahatma, a strong tradition of protest. Whenever something happens, people are prepared to be out on the street and say, who do you think we are? We will not tolerate this. And that tradition of protest is a good sign. We also have a tradition of self-help. India has what, 3.8 million NGOs. Now, many of them are useless, many of them are funded by the foreign governments, but nevertheless, some of them very good, doing a lot of good work, and they give me hope. Then we have pockets of extremely honest. That tradition is still there. Pockets of extremely honest and talented people like Durga Shakti and lots of other people whom you can't buy. Now think of a woman who has to stand up to bullies who are engaged in sand mafia or whatever, knowing full well it will be costing her career, her life, her family. And she knows this. Now that kind of bravery I haven't seen in many other countries. It happens here. And I remember asking for a confidential assessment from a friend who works very high up in civil service. He said, what would be your estimate for the extremely talented and honest people? He said, dekhiye Professor Saab, about 25% in the civil service are totally corrupt and you can buy them for a naya paisa. 15% angels, absolutely remarkable. And the remaining 60, depending on which way the wind is blowing. Now those 15%, to retain those 15, when politicians all around you are engaged in corruption, you are constantly tempted, and still to find that 1 in 6 is not tempted, cannot be bought, will risk his or her life, is a great tribute to our people. And that gives me hope. And fourth source of hope is, of course, economic growth. Because with that growth, you are able to remove poverty, create a middle class, create a new kind of culture, and hopefully India might be able to lay the foundations of a more sensible democracy. Well, thank you very much. I hope I haven't gone on too long, but this is basically where I stand and which I would be happy to defend in panel discussion.